Molo, which is kosa. I'm sorry, I can't do the click sound. Something to do with the roof of my mouth, I think. That's my excuse. But Molo is kosa for greetings. Hello. It's the old bloke here with another installment of his beautiful art journey. And I'm happy to say it's turning out quite beautiful. I don't know why I'm holding my hand up like that for 2 minutes, but anyway. Here's my latest work. A painting of two halves, or rather 2/3 and a third. The reason being, I wanted to depict a night I spent in London, winter 1985, I think it was, so quite some time ago. Of the night I walked down from my flat in Manchester Street, Marylebone, parallel to Baker Street, 39 Manchester Street to be exact, and huge name drop coming. I stayed in the same, I think it was even the same floor of the same house that David Bowie, believe it or not, lived in when he first moved up to London from Croydon as David Jones, trying to make a name for himself on the London music scene. And he stayed with his manager Kenneth Pitt, and you'll have to take my word for it. I actually checked with Kenneth Pitt, because the estate agent had told me that, and of course I don't believe anything estate agents say, nor should we. But David Jones stayed at 39 Manchester Street, and I don't know, some 15 years later I stayed there. Maybe 20 years, 18, something like that. Anyway, this painting is about this particular night where I went to meet a friend at a club called, a jazz club called Sol y Sombra, which I think was in Charlotte Street, just north of Soho, and it was snowing that night. And I walked down to meet Todd at the club, and I was in the snow, and it was really coming down, snowstorm. And then I walked down the steps into Sol y Sombra, and it was like getting off the aeroplane from London to Durban, which is the only way I can describe it. But you could put Moscow, or no, what am I talking about? Moscow. Anyway, hot and humid, because it was a smoky, sweaty old basement. And I walked down the stairs to meet Todd, and this music playing right now is a song that we used to really vibe on. We used to get our groove onto this Ricardo Bossa Nova by Hank Mobley, the brilliant American saxophonist, and this has got a Latin feel to it, called Ricardo Bossa Nova. I don't know if you can hear it over my voice, but it's a fitting soundtrack, because that's what we used to get on the bar and dance to. So I had that in mind. I tried to start a painting without any preconceived ideas, but I had that night had come back to me, maybe because I'd heard Ricardo Bossa Nova, and I wanted to kind of show moving out of the snow into the heat of the jazz club and the colours of the jazz. Paul Murphy was a DJ there, so he was playing mostly a bit of acid jazz, old school jazz, anything with a jazz vibe. So I used a palette knife. I'm growing increasingly comfortable with using a palette knife rather than a brush to do this rather intricate, the snow part of it, obviously, and then this bottom part of the jazz night vibe. And if I can, I'm just going to move the camera a bit closer so that you can see the detail, because once I'd done the background, I love this flinging blobs of paint, and for jazz this is perfect. I hope you can see the detail. I tried not to get too carried away. I think I stopped myself just in time. I'd flung a bit of yellow into the snowstorm to depict the lights from the buildings that I was walking past before getting to Sol y Sombra, and then I flicked yellow down here into the jazz heat, and then the music ascends, and I flicked a bit of light blue paint and some sort of violet that I mixed up with through using purple and white, obviously. And I don't know if you can see that in any great detail, but I'm quite pleased with the way that's worked out. I just want to end off by saying that last night, I've given up my murder mystery shows I like to watch, and I just watch artists' videos on YouTube. I've mentioned it before, which are give me ideas, more than inspiration. But I stumbled across this guy, and I should have checked his name. I'd like to think his surname was Wayward. That would appeal to my wordplay that I do all the time. But he was representing a channel called World of Creatives, I think. Anyway, I'll put a link to it under this video, because I watched 3 videos where he was talking. He had done a lot of research, gone deep into what makes the great artists, writers, painters, musicians create work that's just out of this world, that is brilliant, such as many of the jazz musicians that I listen to when I paint. They're my I hesitate to say inspiration, but they get me into the groove for painting. And yeah, he was talking about you don't just summon up, you don't click your fingers and inspiration comes. You have to show up, which I remember Elizabeth Gilbert, when I was writing my book, I got her book, Big Magic, was given to me, and she said that in her book: just show up, don't wait for the words to fall into place into your mind. Just get, I nearly said to your typewriter, it's giving away how old I am. Get to your computer or piece of paper or whatever it is, and just put a few words down. And this guy Wayward, what a cool name, cool dude, with his dreadlocks, and he's got the gift of the gab and a talent for putting across these ideas that informed the great masterpieces, as I say, whether they be sculpted, painted, written, played as in music or whatever. And he said a lot of things that made a lot of sense to me, or reminded me of things I've forgotten that are great, of great guidance, I suppose, to people who want to create. And he was saying, don't wait for the inspiration. With painting, make a few marks. Start with a mark and another one and another one, and then see where it takes you, and freewheel it. Well, I didn't do exactly that with this, because I did have a bit of a preconceived idea of what I wanted to illustrate in an abstract way. But yeah, that's something I'm going to adopt you know, instead of drinking endless cups of tea and listening to jazz music and waiting for the right time. There's nothing wrong with that, I suppose, but you know, don't wait for the inspiration to envelop you. Rather, just start, and you will find your way. And yeah, I immediately signed up I became a member of his channel because I think he's got a lot of wisdom going there. I think that's all for today. I have done another work since I made the last video, quite a big piece, very different to this, not really abstract, full of symbolism, which I found, you know, I only started painting 6 months ago, but I found I was leaning towards symbolic abstraction, I suppose, suggesting or leading the viewer to something definite or concrete. I want to move away from that. I mean, this is, I've given you the backstory, but I think if you saw this hanging on a wall without me gabbling on about it, it would be left to your own. You would see cold and hot, blue and fiery warm colors, and you'd see what you want to see in that, whatever it means to you, and I love that. Anyway, yeah, that's all for today. Ta-ra.